All right, let's switch gears here and talk about healthcare in Quebec. Now, the battle is ongoing, by the way, between the Quebec government and medical specialists. They're trying to get to a deal still, but there is some good news on the family doctors front. Remember the last year, all we were talking about is family medicine clinics closing in this province. We spoke to a whole bunch of them. Well, we've got some good news. Hudson Medical Clinic announced that they won't be closing, thanks to all the developments between the family doctors and the Quebec government. So let's talk a little bit more about that and a development here on more money from the Quebec government for family doctors. Dr. Michael Kalin's with us, family physician at Kildare Santé in Côte-St-Luc. And we also have Dr. Christopher Forrest, co-owner of the Hudson Medical Clinic. Dr. Kalin, Dr. Forrest, welcome to the program.
Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Great to have you both. First things first. So the government announced that there's a new bonus of up to $75 million for general practitioners. What they need to do to get that bonus is fulfill their commitment to enroll 500,000 patients by March 31st. That's just over a month away. Can I ask you, Dr. Kalin, does that mean a whole bunch of Quebecers are going to get a family doctor?
Well, in fact, we have until the end of June to get 500,000 patients registered. And the count started actually in November. And currently, under 100,000 patients have actually been registered. So it's a tall order to do in the next 4 months. And part of the problem is there aren't enough patients on the waiting list. We have 12 waiting lists for the 12 regions in Montreal, and 9 of them are empty. So there's a problem with clinics requesting new patients, but there aren't patients to fill the need. And so we're waiting for the RAMIQ to send us lists of patients who they've identified, but even so, we're far short. So this bonus that we're talking about is really, I think, optimistic. It's a tall order to have over 400,000 patients who have not been identified to be registered by the end of June. We are working on it. You asked, does that mean more people will find a family doctor? Does that mean that clinics will stay open? Well, we still have the bigger problem. We're missing 2,000 family doctors in Quebec. Mm-hmm. So it's asking the existing doctors to take on greater loads. And that doesn't solve the underlying issue, which is that we still have a problem with staffing. We don't have enough doctors coming into family medicine and staffing the clinics. So there is some good news, there is some optimism, but the underlying issues still exist.
Dr. Forrest, let's talk about Hudson Medical Clinic and the relief a lot of your clients, your patients have now, knowing that you won't close. What led to the decision? What has changed? What certainty did you get from the negotiations and the government to allow you to make that decision?
So, I think I wouldn't say there is certainty. Unfortunately, I think maybe the better way of framing it, we've said that we're no longer definitively closing. We're postponing closing. We remain cautiously optimistic. The deal that was reached, I think, has some elements to recommend it. Something to bear in mind is that deal has not yet been enshrined into law. So it is still yet a deal, and there are lots of pieces of the puzzle that are missing. I think if the deal, as it was iterated, does become law, I think we're optimistic that there's a path forward. I think our chief objection previously was a framework that required an unsafe practice of medicine, and we just did not feel that we were able to deliver the quality of care to which patients were entitled under that proposal, and that was why we had made the decision that we'd made. I think with the deal that's been proposed, there's hopefully a way forward, but as my colleague was just mentioning, we're far from out of the woods. One of the problems we're facing right now is a loss of physicians as a result of that legislative morass, if I can. So we have one physician who's definitively leaving, is relocating to another jurisdiction, and we have 2 more that are scaling back their practices. So there's been, irreparable damage that's been done. And to the question that you were putting to my colleague, are we going to be able to try and meet these targets of registering new patients? We're going to take our best stab, but we're doing so with increasingly dwindling resources, right? As physicians leave, it becomes much more difficult to register new patients. And I would add also, although the government is hoping to get us to register another 500,000 patients by the end of June, in fact, the deadline for doing so in terms of actually registering them or declaring an intent to register them is March 31st. So it's a tall order to achieve in a very short amount of time.
So let me just ask you, for our listeners, because I get listeners, they call in or they send me a text message and they say, I don't have a family doctor. Like right now, Is there an opening here? Do you need to get on the government list? Can someone just call up the clinic and say, hey, I need a family doctor? Do you need to be on a list on some online website? Maybe Dr. Forrest, you can start off with that and try and answer that question.
Yeah, so patients that don't have family physicians, and unfortunately there are too many of them, and let's be frank, this is not a problem that is restricted to Quebec. This is a pan-Canadian problem. There's approximately 1 in 5 Canadians that don't have access to primary care, which is unacceptable. And so I think the government's attempt to address that problem is understandable. I think the way they went about it was certainly not the ideal way, to say the least. Patients that don't have family physicians need to put themselves on the wait list through the so-called GAM-F, the Guichet d'Accès de Médecine Familiale. And once they're on that list, then they will hopefully at some point be attributed a physician. And in the meantime, they can become these GAP patients, so they can have access to services for clinics that have subscribed to the GAP program, the Guichet d'Accès Première Ligne, which affords patients the opportunity to see clinicians for specific issues. So the clinician does not become that patient's family physician, but they're able to see them, as I'm doing actually all morning this morning, for specific issues that are of concern to them.
And Dr. Kalin, to wrap up here, for your clinic, for Kildare Santé, what does the future look like? Have you lost doctors? Why don't you tell us about how this has impacted your clinic and where you're going to be going from here?
Great question. We have lost a couple of doctors to semi-retirement, so their practices have to be transferred to new physicians. The future is uncertain, certainly better than it was in December. The devil is in the details. Bill 19 is not finished. There's a new remuneration model that will be introduced soon. This will certainly impact us. However, it's not December, and certainly spring is coming, the sun's coming out, it's getting warmer, the days are longer. So we're going to be optimistic. We're going to try to get as many patients registered as possible. My colleague was absolutely right. If you're not on the list, please add your name to the GAM-F list. That's so important. And you will be sent to a clinic where you will be collectively registered or perhaps even individually registered. That priority is being given to vulnerables. But we're going to try to be optimistic. We have a new health minister, and hopefully Bill 19 will be much, much better than Bill 2 when it's enshrined.
And clearly this year will be consequential because it's an election year, and I think healthcare will be a big issue in this province. Dr. Kalin, Dr. Forrest, I have to leave it there. Thanks so much for coming on today.
Thank you.
Dr. Michael Kalin from Kildare Santé and Dr. Christopher Forrest from Hudson Medical Clinic.
I'm Dylan Playfair.
And I'm Tyler Smith.
We're putting loneliness in the penalty box by talking to some of our favorite athletes about the importance of friendship.
This is Bromance.
Bromance is brought to you by Charm Diamond Centers, proudly Canadian-owned and operated. Charm has been part of your love stories and bromances for over 50 years. And you can find Bromance on the iHeartRadio network or wherever you get your podcasts.